Hey guys, Saki here from Sakitech, and in today's video I'm going to pose a question. Can the Google Pixel XL replace the Samsung Galaxy Note 7? Is it an adequate replacement? Now first and foremost, let's talk about Google Pixel really quickly. Pixel is the new phone that Google released, and there's two versions. There's a small one and there's a large one. The small one is Pixel. It has a 5-inch display, and the larger one is the Pixel XL, which I think stands for extra large, and that one has a 5.5-inch display. The only difference between these two phones is the display size and display resolution. So the Google Pixel, the small one, has a 5-inch display and it has a 1080p screen resolution. The Google Pixel XL has a 5.5-inch display, but it has a Quad HD resolution, which is the same as the Note 7. However, the Note 7 has a 5.7-inch display. So that's one big difference between the Note 7 and the Pixel for people that care about the screen size. There's the 5.7-inch screen on the Note 7 and the 5.5-inch screen on Google Pixel XL. So let's talk about whether or not the XL can replace the Note 7, because as you know, Note 7 is off the market. There were too many explosions. It's been pulled out, and Samsung wants you to return the phone and get a replacement product. And obviously Google Pixel is something a lot of people will be considering. Now first of all, let's talk about losses. There's two things you're going to lose that the Google Pixel simply cannot give you, and that's the S Pen and all the functions that S Pen brings to the table, and of course the water resistance. And I know the iris scanner is something that a lot of people notice too, but in all honesty, I don't care about the iris scanner at all. I never used it. So the S Pen was very important, and the water resistance, surprisingly, once you have it, actually becomes very important, because you don't have to worry about rain or splashes of water that happens all the time. You know, I can grab my phone, I can put it on the kitchen countertop, and I can be washing my hands or maybe washing the dishes, and any splashes that go over the phone cause me no concern. So those two things, however, are not going to be available on the Pixel XL. So how can the Pixel XL then actually be a replacement for the Note 7? Can it be that replacement? Let's talk about that. Now let's quickly get the screen out of the way. So like I said, you get 5.7 on the Note 7 and you get 5.5 inches on the Pixel, but they both have Quad HD resolutions, which is the highest you can get on any smartphone. And on top of that, the Pixel is actually using an AMOLED screen. So you already know that the AMOLED technology is a fantastic technology, and it's going to give you a sharp, clear, and crisp display. So the display is not a big deal. The only problem is if you really want that 0.2 inches extra, then you have to look elsewhere. Otherwise, as far as the display goes, the Pixel is just as good as the Note 7. So let's move on to other things where Pixel, I think, actually is better than the Note 7. And that category is the software, okay? So basically, Google Pixel is going to have stock Android, the latest Android with all the latest features running in Pixel. And it's going to be very smooth and very lag-free. I have a Nexus 6P right here that I just pulled out of the box, and I've been playing with it just to see how the Android 7 is all about. And I have to tell you, even with the Nexus 6P, this phone, as it's a year old, it's very cheap, and it doesn't have the flagship specs that we now are used to. It's got 3 gigs of RAM instead of 4 gigs of RAM and all that stuff. And it runs so smooth and so lag-free, it even runs better overall than the Note 7. And the reason is because it is running stock Android without any overlays. So with the Note 7, you've got the Android Marshmallow, and then on top of that, you've got the Samsung overlay, which kind of bogs the system down. Then you have the edge panels, you got the S Pen functionality, you've got Samsung's own multitasking features, and all these things bog the system down and makes it a little bit slower than the Nexus 6P. And again, Nexus 6P is almost a year old now. So for sure, the Pixel is going to be better in performance than the Note 7. And what I mean by that is it's going to be less laggy, it's going to be much more smoother, much faster. The apps are going to run faster, obviously, and it even has a faster processor. So as you know, the Google Pixel has the Snapdragon 821 processor, and the Note 7 has a Snapdragon 820 processor, and the difference is not day and night, but there's obviously some kind of improvements in the new processor. Maybe 15 to 25% increase in performance overall. But we cannot underestimate the fact that the stock Android runs really smooth and really nice as compared to any other phone on the market, such as the Note 7. So I can almost guarantee you in the software department, you're going to get better performance with the Pixel, but with less options. Now there's some things that Android 7 now has that the Samsung also had for years, which is like the multitasking. The Android 7.0, the N, Android N, has native multitasking where you can do split screen multitasking. You can have two windows running at the same time and you can multitask between each phone. So I could have the Maps application running and also YouTube application running. As I'm browsing the maps, I can also listen to music on YouTube or even watch a video. So that's very good. And again, because it is stock Android, it actually runs smoother and better than the Note 7. Maybe not as feature rich, but certainly runs faster. Now I do have to make a clarification. I'm not saying that the Note 7 is a laggy phone. It's not a laggy phone, but every now and then you get stutters and slowdowns when you have a lot of stuff going on. And when you're running the apps are not very smooth and stable either. You know, there's a little bit lag in the apps. I noticed that the Nexus 6P has minimum amount of lag and stutters in the actual Android interface, and also the apps run a little bit better on the Nexus 6P. So it's only logical to assume that the Pixel that also has the stock Android is going to be even better processor, and even a newer version of the Android N. The latest version is what you're going to get. Okay, so that's the software. Let's move on to the camera. I want to say something about the camera, which actually has a lot of weight, at least for me, when I'm deciding to buy a phone, especially a phone I want to use all the time, something that's my daily driver. So camera is very important. Now, Google Pixel has received a score of 89 from DxOMark. DxOMark is a website that actually appraises the smartphone cameras, and they also appraise DSLR lenses and DSLR cameras. So they do know what they're doing, and they have given the Pixel a rating of 89. And the Note 7, I think, has a rating of 88 from the same website from DxOMark. So that denotes that the Pixel's camera is theoretically better than the Note 7's camera. Now, we don't know if that's the case because we have to run some tests, real world tests. You know, we have to check to see how the phones perform in low light conditions, in night conditions. We have to see how they perform in daytime, how sharp they are, and we have to also take a look at how they perform when there's a lot of stuff going on in the scene. So if there's a lot of colors going on in the scenery, it's really hard to reproduce those colors perfectly. So we have to look at those things and compare the cameras one by one. We have to check to see how good is the stabilization on these phones, because the Pixel does not have optical image stabilization. The Note 7 does have optical image stabilization, but Pixel has some other stabilization method that I forgot the name of, which they say is just going to be as good. So we have to compare these things and do some real world tests. But as of now, if the camera on the Pixel is as good as they say it is, the Pixel could be a very, very good replacement for the Note 7, because for me, if I'm going to have a daily driver that I use every day, the camera has to be one of the best. And that is the reason I'm using the iPhone 7 Plus and the Note 7, well, not the Note 7 anymore, as 7 Edge now, as my daily drivers. I use two phones, Android and iPhone. So iPhone 7 Plus and S7 Edge are two phones I'm using right now because they give me the best cameras possible right now on the market. The funny thing is, the Nexus 6P is such a great phone, and it's also very cheap, but the camera simply doesn't compare to the iPhone 7 Plus or the S7 Edge. I would have loved to use this phone as my daily driver for a little bit, but I can't because I know that when I'm taking a picture, I'm not getting the best quality. So that's why if the Pixel camera is as good as they say it is, then I may actually consider having that phone as my daily driver for a little bit until I see something I don't like, which might be possible or may not be. But that's why the camera is really, really important. and I'm putting some emphasis on this DxO Mark score, but like I said, we can't be sure how good it is until we run some real world tests. So that's the camera. Let's talk about other stuff. And of course, I'm not going to talk about stuff like the dimensions or the weight. Those are little things. I mean, these are both phablets. They're big phones. So you're going to have to use both of your hands to operate these phones anyway. So I don't really care if one phone is 10 grams lighter than the other phone, or if it's 0.2 inches thinner. That doesn't matter anymore. These phones are pretty thin and small as it is. What I do want to talk about is the storage. So the Note 7 comes with 64 gigabytes of internal storage, but you have SD expansion slot, and you can add up to 256 gigabytes of extra storage to the Note 7, which is a fantastic deal. Now the Pixel doesn't have SD expansion slot, which probably has pissed some people off, but here's what's happening with the Pixel. You can either get a 32 gigabyte version or a 128 gigabyte version. Now again, that sounds rather ridiculous to have a phone from Google at 32 gigabytes as base storage, because 32 gigabytes is not much, okay? You put a couple games, a bunch of videos, a bunch of photos, it gets filled up. Now here's a twist. Google is giving unlimited storage for photo and video for anybody that owns the Pixel phones. So let's say that, grab your current smartphone. If you take a lot of pictures and a lot of videos, you know that you take a lot of space on your phone just for those two things, photos and videos. Now imagine if you can just take all those guys and just put them up in the cloud, in the Google Cloud. Suddenly you may have 10 gigabytes available, maybe 15, maybe 20. So if you're the kind of person whose phone is predominantly wasting space because of photos and videos, then there's nothing to worry about, because now you can have 100 or 200 or 300 gigabytes or more videos and photos, and it's all going to go to Google Cloud. It's all free storage. And then you're going to have 32 gigabytes of storage, internal storage, for everything else, like your apps, your music, whatever, okay? So photos and videos are not going to take a speck of space on your Pixel. So just think about that when you're making a decision on buying this phone. And if you are the kind of person that has a lot of apps, a lot of games, a lot of music that actually surpasses the 32 gigabyte base model, you can get the 128 gigabyte option. And even then, you can still upload the photos and videos to Google Cloud and not worry about wasting space on your phone internally. So that's the storage. The Note 7 had the SD expansion slot. The Pixel doesn't have it, but it does have unlimited photo and video at full resolution. So if you record a 4K video, that 4K video gets uploaded at 4K resolution at the original quality. Same thing with pictures. So you're not losing any picture or video quality by uploading these things to the cloud. So that's basically what you should be looking at in this case, in the storage case. Now let's talk about the battery. So both of these phones, Note 7 and the Pixel XL, have approximately 3,500 milliamp hours of battery capacity. And we already know from real world tests that the Note 7 can last you a full day for medium to heavy use. Now obviously if you play games all day and you just watch videos, it's not going to last you a full day. But for the basics, medium use, calling people, texting all day long, browsing the web, just checking your apps, playing a little bit, maybe a couple hours of gaming and video, it's going to be no problem. The Note 7 is going to give you a full day of use. And I think Pixel is also going to do the same thing. Now this is just an educated guess, but I think that's going to be the case. Nobody's going to be disappointed with the battery life of the Pixel XL. And of course the other thing to look at is the features of battery charging and management. So the Note 7 has amazing features. It's just rock solid. It's full-blown features everywhere. You have wired charging, you have fast wired charging, you have wireless charging, you have fast wireless charging, and you can charge your Note up to 50% of capacity within like 30 to 45 minutes, which is amazing. Now the Pixel does not have wireless charging. However, it does have fast charging. As a matter of fact, there's a number that they threw at us. They said that if you charge your phone for 15 minutes, it gets you 7 hours of battery life, which is a very good feature. Let's say that I had to go out tonight, but I forgot to charge my phone. So what I can do is I can just plug my phone into the charger, and as I get ready in 15 minutes, that phone is going to have 7 hours of battery life, I think, which is good enough for a night out. So even though battery capacity and removable battery matters, with these fast wired charging options, you actually can get juice on your phone really, really quickly. So these nice features, these fast charging features, allow you to extend your battery life without actually needing to have a removable battery. I think right now the only phone in the market that has that option is the LG V20, a flagship phone, the LG V20. But I think that is a dying feature, so it's not going to be a big deal because we have all these fast charging now that gives your phone enough juice to last 7 hours in 15 minutes of charge. That's fantastic, right? So that's the battery. So expect to have a full day of use, expect to have fast wireless charging, fast wired charging on the Pixel, but you're not going to get wireless charging on the Pixel. So that's one thing you are going to lose when you replace this phone with the Note 7. If you do want things like wireless charging, then you would have to go with that 7 Edge. Okay, but again, like I said, some people, they simply don't want to go back to Samsung. They want something new, and Pixel XL is in fact new. It's going to come at the cost of losing some nice features. But remember what I said, it's also going to come at the cost of better software performance. Plus, if the camera, like I said, if the camera is as good as they say it is, the DxO mark is 89, then the Pixel XL is a really good replacement for the Note 7, because for somebody like me, the camera is very important. When I go out and if I take a picture, I want that picture to be as good as possible on a camera, because when I transfer that picture to my computer and I look at it, I like to see the fine details, the sharpness, the crispness, good low light performance, and all those things. So that's basically it. Like I said, the dimensions and weight don't matter. You know, I don't care about 2-3 grams of difference in weight, but I do care about, what I really care about is the software performance, and I care about the camera performance, okay? And of course, there's no question that the Note 7 as a total package is better than the Pixel, but the Note 7 is gone. So we're looking for replacements, and the Pixel XL can be a good replacement as long as that camera is good. So if you are a person that was thinking of buying the Pixel XL, I think you should be satisfied. Now, there's one more problem. The Pixel XL is rather expensive. It's almost $800, right? So what is stopping you from getting a OnePlus 3 as a replacement for the Note 7? Just a thought, just a thought. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or opinions, drop them down below and let's talk about this. And if you're not subscribed to sakitech, do so right now. Subscribe to sakitech. Give this video a thumbs up. And I also will be acquiring the Pixel very shortly, in a couple days, and I'll be making some videos, comparison videos between the Pixel and the iPhone and the S7 Edge. So stay tuned and be subscribed for that. Have a fantastic day.